Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast. What is happening, everybody? I am sitting here in a muggy East Texas setting, but my co-host and everybody's favorite friend, KC Smith, is on the phone in a different place, much different place. What's happening, KC?
Well, it's much, much different, Tyler, because I'm in Colorado.
Yep.
And it's actually been pretty warm here. Probably not too unlike home. But as of this morning, we just had a cold front, and I surprisingly just looked at my dash, and it says 48 degrees.
Wow.
I know. So I'm I'm living it up, man.
Yeah, no kidding. So I would think, even though it may have been pretty hot there, it is still different. The heat index would probably be a little different.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not humid. In fact, it's so dusty that your spit has a hard time hitting the ground. It evaporates before it gets there. Oh my
goodness.
But not right now. But it's been that way.
Yeah.
So where we hunt isn't on fire, but the unit right next door is. And from what I've heard, it's 20 miles by 40 miles is the size of the fire. Yeah. And that just happened like within the last week. Like it wasn't that wasn't even a thing until like 4 or 5 days before we left. My mom was like, "Hey, you know about this fire?" I was like, "I had no idea."
Wow.
But I would imagine there's some really happy firefighters today with the weather conditions, because apparently it's all about relative humidity. And when you're talking about like how fires spread. Mm-hmm. So like today, even if it's not raining at the moment, like there's still humidity around, there's cloud cover, and that's going to help them contain that fire a lot.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. So
yeah,
it's different here. It is the relative humidity, I guess, is pretty high though.
Yeah, not a lot of fire danger there.
Dude, it has been nuts, man. I don't know, like the last 2 weeks. I mean, you got to live some of it, but it hasn't changed, dude. It's triple digit heat index today again. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So
yeah,
anyway,
I'm just gonna stay.
Yeah, you should. And I don't know. The thing is, we haven't talked at all since you left, and so I don't know. I'm a little bit afraid to ask here, but you are calling me in the middle of the day, so is there something on the ground?
Well, yes and no. That'd be an easy way to answer that. If you just want me to give you a straight up answer, I have not killed an elk.
Okay. But you fell on the ground.
My mom did, not me. My mom fell like about an hour ago. I was kind of worried about her. She kind of rolled her ankle a little bit, but I think she's all right. No, I haven't killed. I guess I'll kind of just break it down a little bit and kind of lead with this morning, which was, or not lead with this morning, but end up at this morning. So first official morning of the hunt, like I hunted the first afternoon we got here, but it's more like I just get it out in the woods and almost just try to acclimate yourself more than anything, because where we're camp's about 9,800 foot of elevation. And so did a walkabout pretty much and didn't really see or hear anything. And it was dusty. I mean, bone dry. So it's a lot different than what it normally is when you come up here. I mean, you were here with me last year. You know, it rains quite a bit up here normally this time of year. Mm-hmm. And the first day you and I got caught in a freaking ridiculous rainstorm, freezing cold rainstorm.
Dude, but, I've never walked in the rain like that, man.
Yeah, well, crazy. Sometimes there's just no option. It's just you either walk in the rain or stand in the rain. So you might as well walk in the rain.
Yep, that's
but that
right.
Hadn't happened too much. So that we did that, and the next morning I got up early, and I decided I was going to go back. You know, because your first hunt is like pretty much off of last year's knowledge. You know, because the way we do it, we don't come up here and scout beforehand. We go and we learn as we hunt, which probably isn't the most efficient, but you know, I don't have 3 weeks to come up here and figure this all out, you know, so you got to hunt while you do it. So what I did is I went over to that place, where you and I chased the herd bull for a while. Okay. You know, remember what I'm talking about?
Yep.
You know, last year we got out of the vehicle and right away heard bugles and chased this bull for like 3 hours. Well, that didn't happen for me, but I made that an all day trip. Made that like that big loop. Went out and walked the rim of the canyon, came back, and about 10:30 a.m. heard a bugle. And I said, isn't this contrary to what normally happens? And I answered back, and I walked closer, and then it just started every minute on the dot. Chuckles and different, and like I'm pretty dang sure this isn't a human. You know, it's there's things that humans do in calling, and there's just things that elk do, and most humans just can't do what an elk does. You know, he's making just noises that we don't know to make. And I'm like, well, golly, this is the first morning this might just happen. And ends up, this elk is down in a little creek bottom, not creek bottom like what we know in Texas, but like a mini canyon, pretty much. It's like probably an 80-foot drop. And I get within what I think is about 100 yards, ends up being about 150, which wasn't quite close enough. And I just start kind of soft cow calling, and he goes nuts, dude. He's just blasting and roaring and just making all kinds of come here noises. And I finally got him to get up out of his bed, because I think he was bugling from his bed. And he came up to about 80 yards and bugled, and then started giving me a show yourself kind of noise. It wasn't like a bark. He wasn't alarm barking. He was like just kind of like perturbed. And I couldn't close that distance. It was too far, and I couldn't even see him at that moment. I knew exactly where he was, but he's kind of behind some trees, and I couldn't close that distance. And then finally, I was cow calling this whole time, you know, and I turned it up and bugled too, and he finally got annoyed and left, which was very like disheartening. No, maybe not disheartening, just like just felt my stomach sink. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I could have done it like on the morning of the, you know, the proverbial morning of the hunt. You know, like as soon as we get here. You know. So where was the decoy? The decoy was deployed.
Was it?
Yeah, he just didn't.
You didn't think he could walk in with it?
Man, I was just kind of, I don't know. I played the whole thing too cautious because it's the first encounter of the first day. And like, I didn't get close enough. I didn't challenge bugle him. I just kind of bugled a little bit, kind of just to see what his temperature was. And, you know, I didn't do like what you said either with the decoy. I don't know. Right now, I probably would definitely do that. It's, you know, you kind of got to just get sharpened up, you know? Yeah. And I wasn't sharp at that moment. I don't think of anything really wrong. I could have killed him in that scenario. I did set up across like a little meadow, which probably wasn't the greatest. My shots would have been like at 60. And I try to set up for like windows at like 30, you know, to where they'll have to come in that close before they see you. Last year that bit us in the butt because that bull came in at like 15 yards before we saw him, or however close it was, and scared. Everybody was scared. But all right.
So you never saw him?
Never saw him. No.
Oh, man.
Never did, man. It was tough. It was, But it was like cool because things were happening on the first day. Normally it takes a little while. And especially for the weather conditions, man, because to be quite honest, I love to hunt all day and walk around all day, as you know. But, man, when it's 85 degrees on top of the mountain at midday, there ain't no reason to be out there.
Yeah.
Elk have to be somewhere all the time. And I guess you could kill one, but it's just too stinking hot, man. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it. So I've only done like 2 all day hunts while I've been up here, which I still hunt most of the day, but come back to camp and eat a little bit and, maybe take a snooze. I haven't snoozed a lot either. But so we hauled the foiler up here. Last year, we didn't use the foiler at all, but my parents were with me this year and they like to ride the foiler some, and I get it. And this year, too, the elk seem to be somewhat lower in elevation, and it's just easier to get back there with the four-wheeler down some of the logging roads. Well, four-wheeler got the problems real bad. So altitude is getting to it or something. I don't know. I haven't had this problem before, but we actually ended up going back to town on a flying trip on Monday to go get a high-mileage jet, which you and I both don't know what that is. But for those who are carburetor, knowledgeable, that's just like the little port that allows gasoline into the center of the carburetor. I don't really understand it. I'm not a mechanic, dude. Give me a hammer and some nails and some wood, or an elk call. I'll take that too. But we had to go get that. Foiler's still not fixed. We did some Southern engineering and pretty much put a filter over where the choke cable's supposed to go. So now it's like on super choke all the time and it's running. So I'm calling it super choke, actually, is what the name of the four-wheeler is now. So anyways, got the four-wheeler running and we can go places on it. I'm not going to go on a day by day because some of the days weren't quite as interesting, but I guess it was Monday morning. I went and me and my parents walked into some meadows that you and I have been to, I believe. It was really close to where we called in that bull, and he freaked out and we all got scared. And I hit a couple soft cow calls, and dude, I hear coming like from a long way away. I was like, what is going on? And I ended up calling in a cow, a elk cow to 40 yards. And I'd set myself up well where I would be able to shoot a lot of areas. And she stopped twice, and both times were behind these small spruce trees right in front of me. Like one time, literally one of the branches of the spruce tree reaches out from the tree, and it covers her vitals, and I can see her head and her legs and her butt, but I can't see the vitals. And it was so close. It was just like, it was unreal. And then she barked, which if you've never heard an elk bark, and I don't think you and I heard that last year, it's the loudest noise ever.
I can imagine.
It is just the loudest thing. It's unreal, man.
Jump out of your boots.
Oh my gosh. If I hadn't known she was there, my parents didn't know she was around. They were like 100 yards away from me. So whenever she barked, they freaked out. They were like, oh my gosh, and they were like, there's an elk here. That's kind of what was going through their mind. What was going through my mind is, well, crap, this is over.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst sound to hear as a elk hunter too. It didn't sting as bad since it was a cow, but not to like prioritize, the bulls or cows, because I want to take home the meat. But man, it hurts a lot worse when a bull gets away. We all know that. It's just something about killing a animal with antlers, dude. It's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Not to mention the tag price for that bull is higher than a cow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but and I would pay the same for either one. That's how the tags work, is you get either sex tag or you can buy a cow tag, which I don't know. I would never be daring enough to just buy a cow tag.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying is like, the reason you pay more is because you want to shoot a bull, ideally. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and to be quite honest, the way we hunt, it's pretty conducive to killing bulls as opposed to cows.
No doubt.
If we were like sitting water a lot, or I don't know, just in a different area, or hunting with a rifle, maybe it would be different. But I mean, throughout the years I've been doing this, I've probably seen, I don't know, I almost want to say 2-to-1 bulls to cows, just up here hunting, which is not how the population dynamics work. But or maybe they do. I don't know. But anyways, that happened that morning, and that was the most exciting thing until this morning.
Oh no!
This morning was crazy.
Was it?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We got up, everything's pretty normal. It's normal temperature. And we're like, all right, let's go do some aggressive.
Normal for this trip or normal for over the course of the years?
Normal for this trip.
I got you.
It was, I think
so
it's
still kind of hot.
Yeah. It's 52 when we woke up this morning, 48 right now. If that kind of gives you an idea of what happened today.
Yeah.
But we trailer the four-wheeler over to the spot, and then we ride the four-wheeler in a little ways further, get off of it. And it's actually really close to where my dad killed a bull in 2011. And he has a tree there that him and my mom were together. And it's kind of what hooked my mom on this elk hunting thing was him calling in that bull. And like they shot it like 30 yards and they were all there. It's pretty fun for them. But there's a tree there that has like their names carved in it with 2011 5x5. It's kind of cool. But we go in past that tree. It's a aspen tree in case you don't know what this terrain looks like. It's aspens and spruces. But we go in past this tree and it's getting a little bit light on us. We're probably about 10 minutes late or later than what I like to be. And we're going to walk in and you know this, Tyler, because we've kind of done this, but like where the logging roads are that you can travel, you can drop off the sides and there's like always a drainage there. Right. Mm-hmm. And then some places you can actually climb up the next hill and there's not a logging road. And then there's another drainage. Mm-hmm. And that's where there's more elk. Because like you've got this like increments of people who are willing to do stuff to kill elk. Mm-hmm. And you got people who are willing to drive up and down the roads on four-wheelers. You got people that are willing to get off the four-wheeler and walk 100 yards out in the woods. You got people that are willing to drop off in the canyon. But the ones who are willing to go off in the canyon and come back up and hunt that other stuff, like that's the stuff that's hard to get to. Not a lot of people go there. So that's where the least pressured elk are. That's what we did this morning. And we roll up to this spot and it's one of those like aspen groves or glades for our Missouri friends. It's a glade of aspens. Yeah. Like, you know, I'd call them mature growth aspens. I don't know if aspens really work that way, but like big aspens with grass underneath and a couple of spruces mixed in. And there's a hard dark timber spruce line on the horizon at like 80 yards. Mm-hmm. So we walk about halfway and just start one of our crazy calling sequences where I'm doing cow calls and bugles. My dad's doing bugles and cow calls. My mom's doing some cow calls and a few bugles as well. And our idea is to sound like a herd of elk that is undergoing herd dynamics where you have like satellite bulls and subordinates who are trying to sneak in on this herd bull and take cows and just sound like a whole bunch of elk. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're like beating on stuff, raking trees, doing all this. And every time we do this, it goes on for like at least 15 minutes and nothing ever happens. And then sometimes in that 15 to 18 minute mark, something crazy happens. And about 60 yards away, a bull just blows the doors off of things. And that's what happened this morning. It was so cool. Like, dude, you never got to really experience that with me last year. Like, we called in a bull, but everything was silent. Like, we didn't really get the bugle thing.
Dude, even that herd bull was like going away the whole time. Yeah. And we only heard him a few times, really. You know? Yeah,
exactly. It was a much different thing. This thing like wanted us to know his presence. And dude, I'm telling you, it like rattles your soul a little bit whenever an elk points his bugler at you and blows on it. Oh my gosh. It is so cool. Like that is one of the most exhilarating things because like you're anticipating it the whole time. And then when it happens, you're not prepared for it. And it just, man, it's loud. And like, you think like this whole week I've been blowing on the tube, you know, I'm like, I sound pretty good. You know, this is good. Yeah. And then a real elk bugles, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm nothing compared to that.
Yeah.
But, you know, our noises worked. So I can tell kind of where he's at. So
he didn't say anything until he was 60 yards from you.
He was probably a little further than maybe 80. Mm-hmm. But dude, when an elk's at 80 and he's it's loud. I don't know. He might have been 60. I don't know. He wasn't very far. I couldn't see him because of those spruces. So what? I'm not one to wait around. I'm going to go kill an elk. You know, it's just kind of the way I do it. If I hear something bugling, I'm going to go meet him halfway. So I take off down the hill into those spruces and get to it as soon as I can see. And as soon as I can see past those spruces, I see him coming at me. And my mom she also saw me moving, so she moves and she goes down. She's about 40 yards to the north of me or down drainage from me. And we're both just cow calling at this bull. And he's bugling at that moment, like 45 yards away. And oh my goodness, that's loud. Well, I'm cow calling, so really soft, you know, and he's liking what I'm saying. So I see him like, and he's kind of flanking us a little bit. So there's like this very small bench beneath a ridge of rocks, like a rock outcropping. And he's like kind of trotting that bench. And I'm like, oh, come on, buddy, just keep on going. So I range a spot 35 yards. I'm like, this is going to be textbook, like just super comfortable, easy shot. Just going to stop him right there. Well, apparently what I was saying sounded too sweet. He dove off the side of that, goes down in this drainage, this little creek, and comes right up, pops his head up about, to call it 18 yards would be giving it probably too much.
God,
and I see him do this. So I see him go down, and I'm like, okay, he's fixing to pop up. I know it's fixing to happen. So I go to draw, and right as his head popped up, I locked. And just that little bit of movement, he caught.
Oh.
And he had me pegged. He wasn't ticked. He wasn't like scared. But he's like, why is that cow not moving, and why is it camouflaged? That's what he's thinking. Like this bull is completely sold. Like he is straight up downwind of me 18 yards away and isn't worried about the human scent. Like he is ready to find that cow. Well, it just so happens that if he'd have popped up 3 yards further up drainage, I would have had smooth sailing. But he popped up just the other side of another spruce tree. And I've got a window through this spruce tree that I can see up to his threes on his head. And I can see down probably 3 vertebrae down his neck. If that kind of gives you a picture of how much of the elk I can see.
Basically like a line of sight for him.
Yeah, pretty much. And I've drawn back and I've got everything. I'm just ready to go, you know, and I'm just thinking, okay, if he takes 2 more steps, they're like half a body length, I've got shoulders and I'm just smoking this dude and blowing through both shoulders and he's going to die inside. And I'm drawing, I'm holding. And it seems like an eternity. You know, if you've hunted enough, like you go through one of these scenarios where like you're at full draw and you're so hype that you don't like, you're not sure if you're controlling your muscles or if like things are just locked in place. You know what I mean? Like, and it takes so long for this to happen, but it's just a blink of an eye. I bet truthfully, I was at full draw for 45 seconds.
Yeah.
About halfway through that, he's not moving. So I think, all right, I'm just going to give a really soft cow call. And this was risky, but I'm thinking, all right, maybe what's either going to happen is he's going to spook a little bit. I'm going to stop him again further out, or he's going to step forward. Well, I give a soft cow call and he just kind of like turns his head a little bit. I'm like, what the crap? Just move, do something. And then my mom cow calls. She can't see him at this moment, but she's probably 35 yards from this elk. She cow calls and he turns his head and looks at her. And I didn't do it, but the thought crossed my mind. I'm like, this elk is like between 16 and 18 yards. I could 20-yard pin this dude right at the base of the neck and drop him in his tracks. And I didn't. But man, I know like we talk about like ethical shots and like the kill zone is always in the vitals, but that's pretty dang vital. And I 100% know I could have killed that elk that way, you know, but it's just probably not a responsible thing to do. So right. I didn't.
Oh my goodness.
Afterwards, my dad said I should have, but if you can't tell, I didn't kill this elk. Or I told that earlier. But anyways, so hunt's not over. Like he hears my mom cow call, kind of gets tired of me standing there quivering with a bow in my hand, and goes back down into this little drainage. And when I say down in this drainage, it's like a 5-foot drop, so I can still see his his 4s and 5s. He's a 5x5. I can see his 4s and 5s sticking up as he's walking through this creek, like going away. I'm like, hey, coming. So
at
I
this
grabbed
point,
the camera.
Are you trying to get a shot at him when he comes back up the other side, or?
So he's actually headed down drainage, which is like a 45 away from me to my right. So I'm thinking I'm going to move out. What I do is I grab the camera. All this is sort of on film, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So the bull is on film quite a bit, at a wide angle, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But I grab the camera in my bow, leave my pack. I got my bugle tube, I think, underneath my arm. And I go and I run up 10 yards because I'm thinking, all right, he's going to do the same thing just down drainage a little bit further to look at my mom. And it's every man for himself when there's an elk around and everybody's got a bow. Like, if I shoot him first, I'm shooting him. And we're both going to get meat. We're both going to be happy. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make a play on the elk. So I run out 10 yards, set the camera down, and before I can get drawn, there he is broadside. I'm like, crap. And he's looking at me. And so that didn't last for long. He like kind of went back down the drainage. And then I kind of scooted up a little bit further. I'm actually trying to remember this as I tell it because it's kind of a blur somewhat.
Yeah.
He goes back and forth and doesn't ever stop moving and doesn't really give a clear shot. And then finally kind of grows tired of the situation because he's not seeing the elk that he thinks he should. The decoy is actually with my dad, who is way up here behind the spruces, and he can't see it. So that's cool. A lot of good decoys do you behind trees.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is kind of funny. So he kind of like gets a touch spooked. I guess like his nose like finally took over, and he's like, "Oh, I actually smell humans," even though he's been downwind for. I mean, I bet this was a 5-minute ordeal.
Like, how big is this elk?
He's about the size of that one that scared you and I real bad last year. So, not the spike, but the other one. So he's a 5x5 that's not a raghorn. So I'm gonna say he's like a 3-year-old or maybe a 4-year-old. I'm not great with elk ages, you know, but from what I understand, they go from spikes or barely not spikes, you know, like maybe a fork or something, to raghorns, and then normally they're like a 5-point bull their 3rd year. So unless they got good genes, they might have a 6 up there. But so he's like a 3 or 4-year-old. Definitely something that like I would definitely be proud to shoot. I'm proud to shoot pretty much any legal elk, but like I would Euro mount this thing in a heartbeat and put it on the wall. You know, he's big enough for that. You know, so I would say 240 bull, something like that.
Yeah,
if that kind of gives people a bearing. So he kind of grows tired of what's going on and gets suspicious and probably like is thinking, I smell humans, even though there's supposed to be elk here, and like heads back up this ridge. And he's kind of going away. I think he was about done with us. I still had some like tricks up my sleeve to kind of maybe get him back. But he gets to about like 60 yards and like almost does a complete backflip and freaks out. And I swear I didn't see like what happened moments after that, but I think this elk fell down like on the ground. What had happened was, I'm going to pause that story.
Okay.
Colorado's in terrible drought. Okay. This unit in particular, this western half of Colorado, or the western side over here, is extremely terrible drought. We have a 31,000 acre fire across the road. Okay. The Forest Service somehow has allotted for 900 head of cattle to be on the unit that we're on right now for this summer period, which is way higher than it's ever been before. So all that being said, this bull, whenever he's kind of fast walking away from us, sees a black Angus bull who is coming up the pasture. And I think it freaked him out, and he fell over on his butt and then came back to us because he was scared of that bull. So that's kind of been a motif of the week, is the cattle being an issue here everywhere.
Yeah.
But so this bull like went from being like a little sketched about us to being really sketched about a 1,000-pound black bull walking his way. So he's like trotting back up this ridgeline. And I'm like, this is a godsend. Like, that bull sent this elk back to us. How cool is that? And, well, he wasn't going to come back into us was the problem. He was going to walk that ridge and go out of our lives. So I looked at him, assessed the situation, ranged something, and had a spot that I thought was good and clear. You can see where this is going. And 70 yards. And, and I probably have told you that, like, that's kind of my max on elk is 70. Like, I can shoot further, decent, but like at 70 yards, like, it's just another day in the park for me on an elk. They're not whitetail. They do different things. They don't jump strings and go crazy. So draw, cow call, stop this bull in my gap at 70 yards, anchor my pin, squeeze, and I can see my arrow, and dude, this thing is freaking a rocket, and it is looking so good. And then I see a spruce limb go and fall, and I was like, oh no. I clipped a spruce limb and then heard a loud bang. I was like, what? Did I hit him in the shoulder? What happened? I knew I had a really good feeling that I had, had a deflection of some sort. And then the elk, like, did a 180 and wheeled off and took off, like, scared or maybe hurt, So I'm like, did I hit him? I couldn't tell. So my mom and dad continued to call for like the next 2 minutes. I'm like trying to get their attention without being noisy. They're like calling to an elk that's no longer there.
Right.
So finally, I figured out that if I turkey call, they know that, like, I'm not calling in elk anymore. So I turkey called and got them to come over. And we started talking about the situation, and my mom's like, hi, she's juiced up because the same things that were happening for me were happening for her just about 30 yards from me, but the elk was like in her face too, which that's really her first experience with that. So like she was going cray about this and, pretty cool though, but I did have to hey, like, he's still around. We could shoot him later. Like, let's kind of keep it a little bit chill. But anyways, we talked about the situation. I say I shot and think I missed. We go up there and look around. There's no blood at the site of the shot, but I can't find my arrow. Like, what the heck? Where's my arrow at? Like, I got white fletchings, white knocks, white wraps. Like, you ought to be able to see it. That's why I have that, right? I go to looking around, and I find my knock laying right next to where the bull would have been. Well, that's weird.
I have an idea where this is going.
Why is my knock right there? Well, I think that the arrow sailed, right? So it deflected, and like behind this elk is outer space, because he's up on a ridge line. So I ended up walking like 100 yards straight through, kind of the path of the shot. I can't find my arrow anywhere. Come back up, and me and my dad are both looking around. We're like, all right, well, let's just go look for blood just to make sure that you did miss, and then we'll come back here and look for your arrow. So we kind of zigzagged for probably, 200 yards, something like that. I bet we covered like, 5 acres and no blood. So I already felt pretty good that I missed it, before we even got up there. So it wasn't like I don't know. I felt like we were ethical about the blood search, you know what I mean? But, we get back up here and we're looking for the arrow, and I'm looking around on the ground. I was like, it's probably for a minute or two, like, dadgummit, where is this thing? My dad looks up and he said, what's that tree right up there?
Yep.
And half of my arrow, the fletch half, is hanging by like carbon fibers or graphite fibers, whatever they are, off of like this old snag.
Really?
I'm like, what on earth happened? All I can figure is that I shot the arrow at the elk. I clipped the branch. My arrow then began to tumble, or at least fly sideways somewhat through the air, and then caught this snag and then it broke. Because I remember hearing a really loud, pop, and didn't know what it was. I just thought, I'd like stuck a tree or something. But I think that arrow like hit that log crossways and like busted it in half right there. So I don't know where the broadhead end is. Like,
dang.
I don't. We couldn't find it. I don't know where it ended up going, but that was kind of the proof of the pudding right there. That it was definitely not a wounded animal, not a hit animal. So pretty tough to take. Like, I don't know. I wasn't like in 2013. I missed the bull at 11 yards on the recurve. Like, and I felt like crying for about the next 12 hours. Today, like I never felt like really upset about it. I was almost like it really felt more like I just didn't do my job, which was kind of a weird feeling.
Really,
like. I think I've just gotten into this. I don't know. I'm still very emotional about this. I still love to do it, but it's just such a system. It's something that I do, and it's something that's such a part of me. Like I don't let at least right now in that scenario, I didn't let it get me down. I was just ready to go to the next thing. Like, all right, let's go find another one.
Yeah, man, you've been pretty good about that over the years. About that I've been hunting with you about just like
you weren't there in 2013, I promise.
it
was bad.
Yeah,
but I think
you've had like with Scar, man, like you just you're kind of like, I was like, he doesn't seem that shook up about it, and I'm sure you were inside somewhat, but like there was that, and then the bull last year, which, how come that bull didn't act like this bull, Oh,
I know. Why wasn't he just like, oh, what's that guy doing right there? I would have smoked him in the chest. I don't know, man. Or why couldn't this bull like just show me just a little bit of his chest, or like just a little hole? I don't know. It's just the way they work. But, yeah, man, I think that, like, I really could probably point back to that 2013 miss and, like, just say that, like, that was kind of like what broke the ice, and now I don't have that like remorse thing or whatever you want to call it, like shooter's remorse where like you miss and it just really stinks. Like it does stink and I'm not happy about it. But just go on, there's more days to the hunt.
From the story that I'm hearing, it feels like that with this situation, there wasn't really a whole lot that you did wrong. Like you had to create that shot, or you might not have ever had the shot opportunity in the first place. Yeah. And so like, it kind of feels like you worked your way into that shot and did everything right. And it just happens that there's a limb out there at 60 yards or whatever, and maybe that's a reason you don't feel as bad about it. 'Cause it's like, I did everything I could and just sometimes it's not in the cards versus like, oh, well, I drew back at the wrong time or something like that. Or, I just muffed an 11-yard shot. Like there's nobody to blame but me,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that might be right, man. Like I did everything right and I feel pretty good about that shot. Like I think I would have just pinwheeled the sucker. But, I don't say that word a lot, but our friend Matt Dunphy,
I was just thinking that
he said that, so it's kind of caught on with me. But anyways, like I think the shot was good. Everything was executed well, and I couldn't have done anything else to kill that bull than what I did.
Yeah,
there are some hindsight things. If I'd done things different, it might have worked out differently. But it's not like I made a mistake that led to me not getting that bull. I don't think.
Right.
One thing, dude, self-filming an elk hunt is pretty tough.
I can imagine.
Like it is pretty tough.
Yeah.
I think if I hadn't had grabbed the tripod when I made that 10-yard move up and he was broadside with me not drawn, I think that I would have had a shot right then. But like, it's just part of what we do now, right? Like just filming your hunt. It's not like it's taking away the enjoyment of the hunt. Like it's still fun and it's still a challenge. Not that I need more of a challenge because elk are hard enough, but like how it was super cool today for us after that to like me and my parents like kind of just watch what I did capture on film, you know, like it was just freaking cool. And like just out of the camera audio, like that elk is so loud on there.
That's
like,
awesome.
It is unreal. Yeah,
dude.
It's cool, dude. It's pretty sweet.
That's cool. Yeah, it's almost like, I don't know. Some people think of the camera as like a big nuisance, I guess, you know, like we've got friends, and I talked to a guy today actually, that, you know, like they will start in the early season and they'll start filming some stuff. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh crap. Like I'm done with this, you know, this is just, it's heavy. I got to take it everywhere. You know, I got to, you know, worry about this and that. And in a lot of instances it is that way. And if you don't value looking back at it on film, then I understand. But it's, I mean, like you were kind of saying, it's almost part of the process now. So like, you know, if you had a gun, you could have just blasted that elk after he would have never seen you draw back. Yeah, but being a bow hunter, the draw is part of your process. And so, that inhibits you as well, you know, not to mention you can't shoot over 70 yards at an elk. With a gun, you could, you know, so it's one of those things, you know.
So apparently, like, there's a lot of dudes getting the medical excuse for crossbows. Colorado crossbows aren't legal for, like just general use, like they are in Texas. But I've seen like 3 crossbow hunters up here, and 2 of them left out on, I guess Monday or Sunday. They left out Sunday with 2 elk on the trailer.
Dang.
And shooting with crossbows, man. Which, I mean, it's legal. More power to those guys, you know.
So if I go to the doctor and I'm like, hey, I got this old football injury where I separated my shoulder in the Tulsa game in 2008 or 9 or whatever it was. Yeah. I could get a note or whatever that. Yeah.
Doctor's note for, to shoot a crossbow at an elk, man, 100 yards, just, you know, driving pennies. It's just,
I might have to do it.
I know it's tempting, but I don't know why that's a thing. Like why, like I don't want to cross that boundary. You know, like I already like have a rangefinder and a bow with a 7-pin sight on it, and like it's the latest and greatest bow out there. You know, like why do I have like this thing with crossbows where I'm like, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but well, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of with you.
Like it's like you're saying, like the draw is a part of your process. Like it's just a part of like. If I like didn't have to draw it on a deer, it'd be weird. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I didn't want to have to draw and I wanted some extra range, I would just shoot a gun. You know, I mean,
yeah. I don't know. But you can't shoot a gun this season up here. But
that's true.
Anyways, that was kind of a little side trip, but just it was kind of surreal watching those 2 elk go out on the trailer, and I was like, dude, man, I wonder if that's like if they sustained that kind of success, or if that's like they had a really good year. You know, because like. I don't know, man. Some of my takeaways from this trip are kind of weird. Like, I love my parents and I love hunting with my parents, but it's different. You know, like, don't get me wrong. We've had some pretty good success. Like this morning, we called in a bull together, you know, but they're doing great, you know, but they are a little bit older, and, you know, my mom's a little bit lady. She has a hard time getting over logs and stuff. And it's just, it's slower, but, I don't know. I don't know if I felt this coming up here, and it's kind of a weird thing. Like when we were driving up here, I was like, "You excited?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad to be here." But I don't think I was like super excited, because I feel like, and maybe just my world has gotten bigger, but like this doesn't have the wild feel to it that I really want. Yeah. In this Unit 62, you know, like. There's people running around on 4-wheelers, and there's people like shooting turkeys up the way from us while we're trying to call elk. And I don't know, you know, more power to all those people, you know, like recreate on your public lands, please do. But like, man, I think I really want that wilderness area experience. I think that I could really see myself doing that next year. Yeah. You know, I don't know what that looks like and stuff. And I don't want to like run off and leave my parents, you know, they're part of the reason, especially my dad, part of the reason that I come up here. You know, he's the one that took me out of school when I was in 3rd grade to take me to Colorado because he loved it so much. Right. And like, I don't want to, it's almost like, you know how like we talked about last year on the way up, like I said, we'll normally just drive straight through the night. And you were like, why? I was like, I don't know. It's just why we do it, and we ended up sleeping, and it made things way better. And it's kind of like, it's almost sacrilegious to like leave this unit and go do something else, because I just drove past aspen tree that I carved my name in 1997, and it's 2018. It's 21 years ago. I was up here in the same spot. I wasn't a hunter, but I was hunting, with my dad and granddad. And it's just, I don't know. It's a really weird place, and kind of a little bit deep and almost dark for me to think about that, and this should be so lighthearted and fun, but I don't know. There's a really big family side of this that I like about the elk hunting. And really it might just be more than that. It's the camaraderie. Like I miss like our camp last year, man, me, you, Brennan, and Matt. Like that was just so much fun. There was not a moment, I don't think, that I wasn't smiling or grinning or something. Like, me
and Brennan have been texting.
Yeah. Old Steve, man.
He talked about Steve. Yeah, he said he actually told me, he said even if Steve hadn't entered the equation last year, it would have been the funnest hunting trip I've ever been on, I think.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think so. But and that's just kind of different too. I don't know. You just know your family so well. It's almost like you just kind of hang out. But when it was us four dudes up here, it was a different kind of thing. I enjoy both of them. It's good to have these moments with my parents because, well, first of all, how many 30-year-olds let me myself some credit here. 29-year-olds can say that their 50 and 54-year-old parents are out in the elk mountains with them. It's pretty cool.
Not mine.
Not
mine.
But I don't know. It's fun, man. I don't know if this is the experience I want next year.
Well, that's cool, man. I mean, and like there are ways probably to still get that experience, I mean, what you may end up having to do is go to a different state for your wilderness stuff, and that way you can still enjoy that camp with your parents next year or whatever, too. So I think there's options, but I mean, I understand, man. I mean, it's a hard thing. It'd be a, hard thing for me not to hunt deer with my dad some, too. So,
yeah, sure.
That's a struggle for me too. I really understand what you're talking about,
We're kind of getting to the point where like, we're going to have a crossroads pretty soon to where, my parents can get around and do it pretty good now, like 3 or 4 miles a day, they can make it happen. But like, I can do 10 miles or 12 miles a day,
right.
And like I can deal with the 3 or 4 a day, and I still feel like I'm hunting. But pretty soon, they'll be to the point where they want to ride a 4-wheeler somewhere and sit for a while, and that's fine too. I'll be there one day too. I hope it's not soon, but like sooner or later, I'm going to have to hunt differently than my parents,
right?
And I've gone and done something by myself while I'm up here, but it's I don't want to say I'm obligated, but I just feel like it's right to be with them a lot.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Well, and y'all should have had it done this morning,
I know.
So
yeah, I mean, it's still happening, like it's not like they're inhibiting my success by any means. I think, if this rain slacks up a little bit tonight, it's going to be baller. So I'm ready to get it on.
So how do you,
we're actually,
go ahead.
Well, we're actually going to head to the place where I killed in 2016 tonight, I believe.
We called a bull in there last year. We called that spike in there last year.
We did. And I almost shot a cow in there last year.
Yep. Yeah.
Dude, that's an elky spot, man.
It is, dude. It is. There's something about it.
Not to keep on this subject, but that's the other hard thing about leaving this unit is like, man, I'm accruing so many like map dots on OnX right now. And over the past couple of years that like, dude, I'm about to, I could probably come up here and do pretty well for a while, I think, like get into elk at least, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's, man, I mean, how do you think, like, why does it seem like y'all have had a few more encounters as far as like calling elk in than we had last year, even though we had like good cold weather?
That's a tough one, man. I think that, well, I think I need you to learn to bugle. To be
Yeah,
honest.
that's probably, I would say that's a good point. You
Yeah,
know?
I think that's, and as you continue to want to elk hunt more, I think you do need to do that.
Yeah.
Not saying like it was your fault that we didn't call him more last year. You kind of just were new at it. But like, I think that there's something to this whole like acting like a herd of elk and having multiple bugles. It's just like, what's a good way to equate it? I don't know.
Last year, when we had Spike Fest going that one morning when we were chasing the herd bull, it was like, that's what was happening. We were literally running through a herd,
It's pandemonium, right?
It was.
Like, it's like, okay. Like, I don't know. Like a bull hears like this one solo bugle and he's like, okay, I don't want to go hang out with that dude, but like you hear like, say like you're in college, you hear a party going on next door and there's girls giggling and guys are like, yeah, like you want to go see what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is with these elk, man. Like you just give them so much, they can't handle it. They got to come see what's happening. Even if they don't want to. Like even that bull this morning, he knew, I saw his nostrils flaring. Like he knew that we were humans. He knew it, but he was so hyped up that he couldn't help himself. He had to be there, had to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal, man. I think it's like, we had some good calling sets and it worked, but I think that we just couldn't quite incite that same reaction with just one guy bugling. I think it made a difference.
I would equate it to some of the bands that I toured with over the years that they didn't play music for dudes. They played music for girls, and then the dudes showed up because, it's like these dudes don't care about this music. But there are a lot of girls out in the crowd right now, So
yeah. That's right. Girls sell tickets, man.
That's right. Yep.
And that's the other thing is like this year I've really, I think last year I was really bought into the Corey Jacobson way of elk calling, which is great and it works. But I think that when you're just limited in how much ground you can cover and how pressured the elk are, that maybe slowing down a touch and hitting the cow call a little bit more and doing it a little bit more appropriately, as opposed to just bugling a lot, trying to find a bull that'll talk, I think works a little bit better in this unit. And I'm not saying like I've learned a ton by watching Corey stuff, but I think that I figured that out for at least this unit. Like the cow calls really sell it, because remember last year that bull that came in and scared the heck out of you and I. It was like 10 minutes after I'd bugled and I just threw a couple cow calls before we got up, and well, here he came trucking,
Yeah, he didn't want to show himself until he heard a cow pretty much, So
yeah, and I mean even the bull today, like you asked me earlier, like you're kind of surprised that I didn't hear him until he's like 60 yards away, but that's the truth, like he wasn't like, woo, I'm coming, like he just like said I'm here, whenever he was there. So I kind of also wonder how often, like, how many times are we doing those calling setups and going crazy, and a bull sees you and just leaves? Doesn't say, don't say a word.
I think so many more times than you think, man.
Yeah.
I mean, or smells you, one or the other,
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, it's the same story as always here. I think it might be this unit, man, but the wind has been every direction every day. I mean, you have to. I was telling my dad, like, my theory on it is, like, I live in a scent bubble to where, like, my scent gets blown 40 yards that way, and then it gets blown 80 yards the other direction.
Yeah.
So, like, I've got this little area.
Yeah.
And elk that are 300 yards away can't smell me because my scent never makes it there because the wind changes too fast before it gets there. So you just kind of have to hope that, A, you either get one who's stupid like the one this morning who's love drunk, or B, like you get one to come in before you get the wind switch on your neck.
It's the right moment, in the wind. Yeah, exactly. Dude, that was frustrating last year, I remember. But, yeah, man. So what does it look like going on for the next few days here? I guess you're coming back. How much more time do you have?
I think I've got a day and a half.
That's it?
I don't have a lot of time, man. We're trying to be back Saturday evening, I believe.
Really?
So I'm teaching class Sunday morning. I didn't get a fill in for that. So yeah. But it's fine. I mean, we've been up here a while. I feel like it took us a while to get rolling because we had like the 4-wheeler issue and I don't know, just different things. But I don't know. I feel good about it. And we probably might hunt Friday morning, or we might even, if we feel like they're turned on and we haven't killed, we might stay and just get up early Saturday and make it all because you can do it in one day if you leave early,
Right.
you know, and get home late. Don't make too many stops. But it's just kind of a killer sometimes.
Yeah. It's right at the edge of just what you can possibly can do as a human.
Yeah. I think if you were to hammer down at 16 hours from home, but it always takes us longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because once you get past like that 12-hour mark, it's really tough to like have minimal stops. And
right.
stuff. Sometimes you need to just stop and chill and eat a picnic or something. But
yeah.
What it's looking like right now is kind of socked out. It's kind of crazy.
So
yeah, it's
is it actually raining right now? Or is it just foggy and?
It's raining.
Oh, it's
not
raining.
like it's not pouring down. It's like if I had enough money to buy the really good rain gear, I could hunt in this. But I'll probably still hunt in this. I might not be as mobile, but I'll throw a rain poncho and go find. The cool thing is you can find one of these big spruces and get underneath it, and dude, it literally takes a floater to get wet underneath those spruce trees. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, we did that last year, I think, in one spot.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did, and we're like, all right, dude, we're just going to have to go because the rain was never going to stop.
Yeah,
I remember that.
But so your plan for the next day and a half or so is if the rain eases up tonight is what?
Well, this afternoon I'm going to go where I killed the bull in 16 and probably do some aggressive calling. And then I might split from my parents tomorrow. My mom was kind of saying she's pretty worn out. I think I've been kind of walking her pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, I might just split and go try to do my own thing. And, but okay, it sounds today changes things because before it's been like, all right, find some really dark timber and that's where they'll be. Because they were seeking shelter from the sun, you know, but like it's going to blow it wide open. I mean, to be honest, I might go to the Corey system tomorrow if it's still not rain, but like cooler weather and cloudy. Like those elk will be all over the mountain, and it might be like rut fest up here. It might be like one of the best days ever. So,
well, I don't
know.
That day that we chased that herd bull was, I mean, it was cool the whole time we were up there, but it was like that was a cold front day.
Yeah, it was cold that morning, man. I remember that now.
Yeah.
It was windy, too, which it's kind of windy right now, but it ain't nothing like what it was that day. Like, that was like trees falling down. You remember that one day? Okay, so it was windy a lot last year.
Yep.
And one day you and I went on a really big walk. Like, I think that was like 10.9 miles. And there were aspen trees falling everywhere. Like, it was sketch.
It was like we had to like when we like lay down for our lunch and nap in the middle of the day, we were like looking around and we had to find a spot that we were like, okay, there's no widowmakers anywhere close here.
Yeah.
And I still didn't sleep good, dude. Like I put my my head like right up under a stable tree and live tree, and I still was like, I don't even know if I took a nap that day because I was just like, golly, every 2 seconds there's a crack, you know.
I know. It's crazy, man. I haven't seen too much of that happening right now, but it hasn't been too windy. There's a bunch of new blowdowns up here, though. They've had some winds for sure.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that, like, they'll domino. So, like, one tree falls down, and then, like, it'll knock down 3 other trees that are a little bit smaller than it. So it's like you're not even safe if you're away from the one that's falling. It's kind of a little bit scary.
Yeah, that is, man. Well.
Oh, well.
I guess I'm going to let you get to it, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, what's been going on around the house, man? How the camera checks going?
Not a lot. I checked cameras on that Walmart property, and the big dude hasn't showed up again. So
come on, big dude.
I know it's been probably at least 3 weeks since he last showed up about.
Yeah.
So he's either. I mean, there's no such thing as due, but if he's on a schedule, then he's about due to be on schedule, and if he's not, then I don't know about that property for sure. I did have a new 8-point show up on that camera. He's not a shooter, but he's a solid 8 that would next year probably be a shooter.
Cool.
But I haven't gotten out to any public or anything. I just we talked about me doing maybe a observation sit somewhere and looking under some oak trees or whatever, and man, it is hot, dude. It is 96 degrees, humidity's triple digits, or heat index, and it is just not I just do not want to go sit in the woods, and especially to drive so far to go to some of our spots. I'm just like, might just be better off if I just get some work done. I got a bunch of editing stuff happening right now, and so probably wait till you get back to do much on the public spectrum.
Dude, I was thinking about this. Like, I get back, and 7 days later is deer season.
Hey, and let me tell you that the forecast for that opening day is major cold front.
Oh, my goodness. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Major cold front.
I'm giddy.
I know, dude. I just
Here I am
saw
on an
that.
Elk Mountain, and I'm, like, excited about some whitetail.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in, dude. I just love to hunt.
I know it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, dude. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm
Yep.
ready to get back and do some of that, but not too soon. I got some unfinished business up here with this 5x5.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, I hope you get them, man. I'm pulling for you big time back here, and I'm ready to eat some elk meat. That's for sure.
You and me both.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess to the listener, I would say, don't forget about our what are they, Casey? They're competitions. They're not competitions.
I didn't know what you were getting to. Yeah. So giveaways.
Contests.
Giveaways. Yeah, contests. So we're giving away the Exodus trail camera on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but 4 comments on Nameless. All right, so go comment on Nameless. If you haven't watched it yet, watch it. It's cool. Watched it twice on the way up here.
All right.
And it was like we talked about filming our hunts earlier, right? Like, man, it is just so cool to look back on that stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I know you're the same way with that film as I am. Like, I remembered a lot of that, but like that just cements it, like it's just there, and it's cool. Anyways, go watch Nameless. It's awesome. Comment on that. And then also we are giving away what else?
A Onyx Premium membership, and that is happening
right.
for Facebook shares of Nameless.
That's right.
We pinned that post to the top of our page. So if you scroll down, that should be the first post you see on our page, the Nameless video, and you can share that to your timeline and have a chance at winning a premium membership from Onyx. So pretty good deal there. We've had quite a few shares there. Honestly, man, the best bang for your buck right now is the YouTube comment. I mean, if you comment on the Nameless video on YouTube, you stand a pretty good chance of winning that Exodus Trek trail camera. So it's pretty.
I'm about to go make a new account right now just so I can comment.
Yeah, I'll probably call out the winner or whatever and be like, send us a message, and there'll be this weird email or whatever, and it'll be like, here's my number, or here's my address. I'll be like, I know that address.
Who is TX Big Buck Hunter 1988?
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, and I look forward to putting together this footage because I get to watch it, man, while I put it together. So
you're gonna be like, that is so Duke. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's gonna be probably. I imagine it will. It's just, dude, it's self-film elk hunt, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just.
I mean, there's gonna be some exciting stuff. There's gonna be some stuff going on off camera. It's just the way it works. Like, I love to film things, but I also like to film my tag. And if it's like, sometimes like just the engine takes over and I just go into kill mode and I don't worry about the camera anymore. I do my best to not let that happen. Yeah. But I'm really what I got to work on right now is getting you some good B-roll, like something to actually make it a film and not just be like 3 clips of some elk bugling and stuff.
Well, if it just turns out to be a cool experience, little video, it'll be fine. But
it'll make a PLC or something. Anyways, we'll put it out there. It'll be fun, And like I said, like, I want to be able to look back at the footage, even if we don't even put it on YouTube. I'm glad we got it on a SD card.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So the giveaways are announced Monday. Is that right?
Monday. We'll be together on Monday.
Yeah.
Doing a little traveling, and we are going to announce that live on Facebook, correct?
That's right. And I think that's the 24th, I believe.
That is
right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Monday the 24th, those winners will be announced. So by the time you listen to this podcast, you've only got a few days. So remember to share that Facebook post and comment on YouTube. And also remember, this is your element.
Live it.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater, Phelps, turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.